Hi, how you doing? Justin here. Welcome to lesson 10 of the Blues Rhythm Guitar series. This is the last lesson of the free ones on the website. If you want more, then you're going to have to check out the bonus material, which will be found on the DVD. There's definitely going to be some cracking lessons in there as well for those who want to check it out. In this lesson today, we're going to be talking about riffs, particularly two arpeggios and a scale, the minor pentatonic scale, which I'm sure you know, and how you use them to create riffs, how you move them around the 12-bar blues sequence. And really the point is kind of two things really. One, so you can create your own riffs. I think that's a really great skill, you know, if you're starting a band or whatever, to be able to make up your own, or if you're a songwriter, it's a really useful skill to have. And also kind of a big deal here is that it'll help you with your transcribing, because if you know the notes that are commonly used to create riffs, when you go to work out one off a record, you kind of got a good idea already of, well, we're in this key, so probably these are the notes that I should check out first if I'm trying to copy a riff off a record. This is bound to help. So let's get to a close-up and check these things out. We're going to be working here today in the key of A. So a lot of our stuff's going to be based around this note A. I'm sure you know already, but it's on the 5th fret of the 6th string. A lot of times riffs are going to start with that root note, so we're going to be playing it a bit, either with our first finger or our second finger. It doesn't really matter, as long as you're aware that this is the root note. And we're mostly going to be looking within the octave, within these two A's, so that we can move it over to D and E easily. That's kind of the idea anyway. Now, what I want to start off with is a few notes that are kind of found in the pentatonic scale or the dominant 7th arpeggio, and it's this little group of notes here. Which is the note A, the A an octave higher, which is 7th fret on the 4th string, the flat 7 note, which is the 5th string of the 5th fret of the 4th string, and the note E, which is the 7th fret of the 5th string. Now, there are lots and lots of riffs that just use this little group of notes, so really try and get familiar with them. You can make up your own little riff. Whatever it is that you do, remember that you can move the shape around between the D and the E, and that's a really important idea. Let's say we take this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so it's a little 1-bar riff. So we'd start playing it 4 times, then move it to D, and back to A, then to E, D, E, sorry, that's A, and then back to E. I really must get around to learning my root notes one day. Anyway, so that's the idea I just want you to see there, is that you can move your little riff to E, D, and A. It's really important. Now, sometimes the chord sequence would change. You might have a long 5 sequence where you stay on the 5 chord for longer, or a long 1 where you stay on there at the end. You know, so it can change. You could use a quick time, a quick change. You know, there's lots of different ways of varying it, but what I just wanted you to see is the idea that you can move the riff around. That's really important. And of course, within a bar, you can use whatever pattern you want. You could have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and. It doesn't really matter. So try making up your own riff using that little set of 4 notes and see what you can come up with. Now, if we start adding, let's just add one more note to that to start off with, which is going to be the 3rd. So we're going to start off the root note now with our 2nd finger. Now, this is another real common. A real common way of kind of getting an extra note in there, and you'll see I did a little at the end. Now this is a really cool kind of variation on it. So this is it's actually an A7 arpeggio, but a cool way of kind of mixing it up a bit is to go, is to slide into that major 3rd. check that. See what ones you can come up with. That, you know, see if you can make your own riff using that set of notes. Again, really commonly used. I can't play a lot of the common riffs because it mucks around with copyright and stuff. That's why I'm unable to give you specific examples, but hopefully you'll kind of recognize some of these bits as being quite similar to other blues riffs that you might find. So the other really common one, I've kind of looked at that in the blues lead series as well, is a variation of that which is more or less the same, but instead of using the flat 7, we use the 6. Now this one's commonly a 2-bar sequence, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So realise that in that case you'd only play it twice on the A and then once on the D. And then once on the A again. And you'd want to do a long 4. So you miss out the 4 chord and go straight back to 1. You know, and of course there are many variations of that again. You don't have to have... You could, instead of going up to the octave, you could go up to the flat 7. You could... I'm just kind of mucking around now, but the idea with the riff, remember, is to make it a specific thing and repeat it over and over again. That's what kind of differentiates the riff from the lick. The riff is a kind of a repeated figure that becomes part of the song, whereas a lick is just more of something that you would use for improvising. And what we're talking about today is riffs. So come up with stuff, write it down. You know, it can be 1 bar, like the... or whatever variation of that you want, just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 or whatever, or it can be 2 bars, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. You know, so have a muck around with that and recognize, of course, that each one of these things moves. So you can have it on E, D and A. You know, it's important to get that all of these different shapes move around. Okay, there's one more trick that I want to share with you that I use quite a lot, and that's basically taking this arpeggio shape, the 6th arpeggio, and playing the same notes but here. You can hear it's the same notes. And often I slide into that 3rd, the 3rd of the chord, that is. In this case it's at the 7th fret, 9th fret, sorry. So this one, I've got a kind of a song that I wrote using a riff from this, which is using this, going from here, using this part. It's kind of, there's a few kind of classic riffs that use a similar kind of idea as well. So see what else you can get out of that. And of course, just remember it moves around. So E. So it's important to kind of make sure that each one of these riffs, any riff that you come up with, that you explore it on the E, the A, and the D. The thing that a lot of people struggle with when they first start doing this kind of riff creation stuff is the rhythm. Now remember that if you're doing a 1-bar riff, you've got 4 beats, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you can play in between, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And what can really help is to write on a piece of paper, maybe a bit of tab paper, write underneath the tab 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then write your riff onto the tab paper above the designated one or and above the count, so that you can actually kind of count along and play your riff like that. Now it might seem a little bit long-winded to do that at first, like a bit too much effort in order to get your riff, but it will really help you understand how the rhythm is made up, and that's really important. It'll help you create riffs in the future and really help you with your understanding of like transcribing and being able to write down a riff and your understanding of rhythm in general. So I'd really highly recommend that you do that. And as well, of course, if you want to, you can make up a 2-bar riff. And the backing track that we've used today, I've used a long 4 and a long 1. So the last 4 bars of our 12-bar blues are going to be 2 bars of E and then 2 bars of A. So that will kind of help you accommodate a 2-bar riff if that's what you want to make up. Now often people really struggle with this riff stuff when they get going. There's kind of always a bit of a crest at the beginning where it's struggle, 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 and then when you get over it, it's really good fun. You know, it's a bit like downhill biking. Getting up to the top of the mountain is kind of hard work, but the downhill part, that's ace. So it's very similar to that. It is going to be a little bit hard work, that beginning part, and it can be a bit frustrating trying to figure it out. No, I don't really get this, but a lot of it is just sitting down and forcing yourself to do it. You know, it really is fun. It's great fun, but just that first little bit, for some people, can be a bit of a struggle, but I assure you it's worth the effort, so do try and stick at it. I really hope you've enjoyed this whole course, and if you've got any questions about any stuff, remember to go to the forum. If you make up your own riffs, do make them a video response to this video on YouTube there, and I'll go and check them out and give you some feedback on it. That'd be great to see what you guys can make up of this information. And I'm going to play you out with a few riffs over the backing track as usual, and I'll see you for another lesson sometime very soon. Those of you that bought the DVD, I'll see you very soon for some more stuff. Otherwise, see you around. Take care. Bye-bye.